and then I'll bring you back. Looks like we're live. It's Tuesday, March 31st. Welcome, everybody, to the Daily Sigh. I appreciate all of our committed and dedicated viewers, subscribers. I don't know what to call y'all. But I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And I can tell you guys, I'm learning so much. It's unreal what happens when you invite people smarter than you to come tell you everything they know. It's actually crazy how receptive the whole world is to doing that. Just what a blessing. What a blessing to everybody on the council who shows up and teaches me all the things that I don't know. And those of you that tune in and drop things in the comments, that's super helpful too. So really appreciate all y'all. Just as a reminder, I go live every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern. I was a little bit late today. I was 6 minutes late. Forgive me. I'm actually sitting in my car outside of a little pub. But I wanted to hold true to my commitment. So here I am. Diving into the news for today, our story leads with a story from CoreWeave. CoreWeave closes landmark $8.5 billion financing facility. AI cloud infrastructure provider CoreWeave secured an $8.5 billion loan to expand its data center capability. This indicates a massive capital inflow into AI infrastructure, which stabilizes the supply of high demand compute resources, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. We're in a space race, y'all. And this is worth paying attention to because if you own the compute, you own the AI. And somebody, I think, on the council was sharing with me, um, I forget the number, but it was something like anytime we've invested more than 4% of GDP into infrastructure, we've gone into a 10-year recession. So these are important KPIs. Council members, I'd love for whoever said that to remind me what it was that you said so I don't misquote it. Story from Future Tools. Microsoft upgrades 365 Copilot with Cowork Agent. I'm trying not to laugh myself off of this call. Microsoft launched a Claude-powered Cowork. Oh, it's Claude-powered. Interesting. Cowork Agent that converts high-level goals into coordinated actions across multiple apps. Research accuracy jumped 13.8% due to multi-model critique where GPT drafts and Claude reviews. That's interesting. I use the Claude for that same thing. For entrepreneurs, this provides an immediate tool for automating internal SOPs and deep business analysis without additional headcount. My question for everybody watching, who uses Microsoft products? I'd really be interested. If you're watching this live, drop it in the chat. Like, is there anyone that, let me ask you this. Two questions. Who uses Microsoft products? Raise your hand. Keep your hand raised if you use Microsoft products willingly, or if you're being forced by whatever evil overlord pays for your tech stack. I don't understand it. I don't understand the appeal. From Tech Isle, SMB strategy shifts to agentic automation. The top business priority for SMBs in 2026 has shifted from attracting talent to driving profitable growth through autonomy. To achieve profitable scale, tools must now autonomously execute complex workflows rather than acting as co-pilots. Y'all, if you're not playing the agentic game, I really do think you're missing out on the biggest economic opportunity that exists. From LLM Stats, Alibaba releases Quen 3.5. Alibaba's new native omnimodal model processes text, images, audio, and video simultaneously and generates code from spoken instructions. Somebody explain to me why Alibaba is building AI. Like, I thought that they were, am I stupid? I thought that they were like a wholesale engine. And I guess it's the same question. It's like, well, why is Amazon building AI? Or are they? March 2026 venture market report says the venture capital focus shifts to infrastructure and practical value because they're not seeing AI returns. Q1 2026 funding is increasingly concentrated in AI infrastructure. This is the shovels in the gold rush. Let me look at my sub stories. Fuse Machines partners with Global Team AI. Vertical AI tools allow SMBs to automate standardized recruiting while minimizing human bias. Who cares? OpenAI launches Codex plugin for Claude Code. Why? Developers can now use OpenAI's coding assistant directly inside Anthropic's Claude environment. That's interesting. And again, why? Council, if you've used this, let me know. I'd be interested. Meta is paying creators $1,000 to $3,000 per month to post on Facebook with boosted reach. This opens up cheaper influencer access for your marketing by incentivizing creators to shift distribution. Interesting. SaaS trends, usage-based pricing and vertical expansion. 2026 trends show a major shift towards usage-based pricing over fixed subscription. Y'all, SaaS companies are dead. And can I just say good riddance? Because these fools and the amount of money that they charged us on a per user basis, like, you know what it is for me? It's like when Blockbuster went under. And I don't know about you all, but I mean, my Blockbuster fees outweighed my Wells Fargo overdraft fees 1,000 to 1. And Wells Fargo was horribly pernicious. Like I loved watching Blockbuster burn to the ground. And I love watching SaaS companies burn to the ground. Um, and it, it doesn't necessarily bode well along every level of analysis. So those are the stories. If you're watching this, you can come hang out with us live. Go to dailysigh.ai, sign up for my free forever community. Jump into the Zoom room, join the council, ask questions. We're going to start bringing on some experts, y'all. As a matter of fact, Wednesday, 2 days from today, April 2nd, we've got the John Moran, the greatest media buyer in the whole wide world, is coming to get poked at by my friends. And he's here because of Dylan. So, Dylan, thanks for the request. And anybody, if you want somebody to come to the call, let me know who it is, and I'll see if I can hunt him down. We had a request for Daniel Priestley. I don't know Daniel. I actually tried to get Daniel to speak at my mastermind, and I couldn't get a hold of him. But if anybody knows Daniel Priestley and doesn't mind making an introduction and thinks he wouldn't mind coming to my Zoom for some weird random reason, I'd love to know him. And I think that's all I got. You can subscribe and get the Daily Sigh summarized and sent to your inbox by going to dailysigh.ai. And that's it for housekeeping. Council, how y'all doing? I see the usual suspects, the gluttons for punishment: Brandon, Dylan, Grant, Elliot, Clinton, Jason, Kai, and Wayne. Wayne, is this your first time here, dude? Is this your first call?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? How are you?
Nice, man. I'm glad you're here, bro. Tell us who you are and why you're here.
Long time direct response marketer. Followed you for a whole bunch of years, as well as Mr. Moran. Who is he coming tomorrow or Thursday? You had
He's
happened to say
coming
the first.
Wednesday.
So just tomorrow. Okay. Because then you
Yeah,
said two
is,
days.
is
So I was
tomorrow
confused.
Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell like what a train wreck I am, dude? So forgive me. Everybody who I said the second, I was lying. Thank you so much, Wayne. John's coming Wednesday the 1st. He's coming Wednesday, April 1st, 6 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, I appreciate you saving me there, dude.
Yeah, looking forward to it. That's I figured I'll come in. I've been watching for a while and I come in, but long time direct response marketer. A lot of affiliate stuff. Spent $100 million of my own money on promote other people's stuff, predominantly.
Bro, I love that. If I had $100 million, I'd keep it. I wouldn't promote a damn thing. That would be my number to just hang on. I'd ride off into the sunset and die of a cocaine overdose, dude. So good for you.
Well, I didn't have $100 million. It was ongoing over like 20 years. So,
Yeah, no, it all stacks up. I get what you're saying. Since you're new, and this is your first time, first word to you. Did I say anything that you want to touch on, or is there anything in the news that you'd want to offer our listeners?
no, I only caught the end. I just popped on. My kids came home, so I said hello first. So I will save that for another day. But if anything pops up, I'll definitely bring it on other calls.
Love it, man. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you being here. And if you're watching live, remember you can join us on Zoom. Just go to dailyside.ai. I'll start us off with the same prompt. I'm always going to start us off with, I hope. What can small business owners do today, y'all? What's the actionable event that somebody can take right now today? Has anybody come up with something that you're like, oh, dude, everybody's got to pull up their computer, and where are we putting pen to page? Dylan. It's always Dylan. Dylan's winning, just so you guys know. Like if we had an MVP, it would be Dylan. Dylan.
So the video I shared yesterday with the plugins, now that I've had another 24 hours to use them, the Claude Superpowers plugin and the Context 7 plugin are crazy. They
Will
are
you
they're
drop that video again in
must-have.
chat? I want to share it. Why? Because bro, that
I
video was
will.
insane. Like the comments were like, "This is the best video I've ever seen." Was basically the summary of all the comments. And what is the Claude Superpowers plugin? Can you explain that for the listeners? Definitely not for me because I obviously know, but for the dummies that don't know, like let them in on the secret.
It's a set of tools, and you don't even have to use commands anymore. It will automatically supersede the default plan mode if you imply that you want a plan. And it has a whole procedure of it depends on if it's like a big or a small plan, but like it will ask you clarifying questions. It will present three implementation options for you to choose from. It will give you the spec like one piece at a time, but I tell it every time I don't care. I don't want to know. That's your part. Uh, and then it'll make an implementation plan that divides up the work into little chunks that sub agents can do. And because the sub
Wow.
agents are only focused on that specific task, it keeps the context of the orchestrator clean. Uh, and so it runs all these sub agents and performs the plan that it implemented. And it like once it starts the brainstorm mode, like every step comes one after the other. You don't have to say like implement this with the sub, like it just follows the procedure, and it'll ask you, do you want to do this in sub-agent mode or sequentially? And it tells you like this is the recommendation. Um, yeah, it's just very, very powerful, and it does more internet research. It does a lot more preparation. It's very, very good so far. In the context 7, I don't know how much it's using that, but that is an MCP server which allows it to access more up-to-date data, which that came up yesterday, just to be clear. An MCP server is it's like a condom for APIs. It protects the AI from any external like it's an interface between the AI and the API to make sure whatever is going back and forth is safe and there's no like prompt
It's like a
injection or
smart
anything.
API, right? It's an API with logic and context.
It is I don't know if it itself counts as an API. It probably does, but like
Mhm.
the way you're thinking of an API is probably not what this is. This is like a pass through to an API. API is a
Okay.
very general term.
Yeah. I'd be really interested. Talk to me again about the subagents for Claude. If you're using the Claude plans, do you have to create those subagents, or is Claude deploying those on your behalf?
Claude deploys them on your behalf. If you're using this plugin,
Dude, you know what's so funny? I think I talked to y'all about this yesterday. I was talking to Nuno Tavares, who's just the smartest guy in the whole wide world. If you guys haven't followed Nuno, he's got an amazing YouTube channel. He produces a lot of value. And Nuno just taught 500 people Claude Code. And he said that the people that struggled the most were obviously like the tech dummies that don't know if the computer's on. And then on the other end, it was software engineers. He's like, all the like really technically savvy people were having a tough time with it. And it's because I think that it's so much easier than we realize. So that like sub agent question, they're like, how do I deploy the agents? And you're like, you don't. It does that. And they just cannot grapple with the accessibility, I guess. Dylan just dropped this YouTube link into chat. I'm going to drop this into the wider chat. If you're watching us live, which you can be doing on a number of channels, Facebook, Meta, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., you should see this in your stream. But if you come join us on the Zoom, you'll have direct access to the chat. Just go to dailysigh.ai. That's awesome, dude. Thank you for this. Wayne, what is this that you dropped here? Oh, this is the subagents link.
Yeah, I just started looking it up when I heard about it. Seems fascinating.
Yeah, this is really cool. Create custom subagents, create new specialized AI subagents in Claude Code for task-specific workflows and improved context management. Subagents are specialized AI assistants that handle specific types of tasks. This is really interesting too. How much equity do you think is going to be built into these subagents? Like if you have a subagent that's executed on a certain type of task repeatedly over time, is that valuable? Is that the type of thing that somebody would buy? And if so, should we just like, is this like Bitcoin mining? Should we just set a bunch of subagents to task on things that are like really obvious so that we can sell them later?
I don't think a sub-agent is what you think it is.
It's clearly not, right? Like, what is a subagent? Dylan, help me.
It's like a dumb version of an agent. It's not re like Claude Code is like the orchestrator, and then these sub-agents are like they are spawned, they do what they're supposed to do, and then they die.
Oh, they're
They're
not a perpetual
lemming.
entity. They're like Claude rolling off a little compute to execute on something smaller.
Neither are agents. That's like I've come to realize this. An agent is like a file directory. An agent is like a set of folders, and then you can repeatedly deploy new instances of Claude into this harness that allows it to do so. Like you can have a folder with skills and scripts and everything that's necessary to do a particular task, lead generation. Like this is the
Hmm.
agent that goes and finds the leads. And within this folder has all of the tools needed to go and find these leads. And then you open Claude Code or Cowork in that folder, like you use Cowork, you know how you open it on a specific folder
Yeah,
project. So like the folder is more the agent than the AI is.
that's interesting. So agent equals context, which I'll say that differently. Agent equals files, right? So it would be like any information I want to give it plus Claude's generic AI, whatever. And then that's all the agent is. And it can reference its memory, but it's not as though it's going to sustain that memory in that context across tasks.
So you know how Tony Stark has like a bunch of different Iron Man suits that all serve
Yeah.
different purposes. There's the Hulk Buster, and then the like
Dude, I love that you're explaining this to me like I'm 10. Thank you, dear God. This is great, Dylan.
Tony Stark is Claude, and he can step into a suit for a particular job, and the suit has all of the tools necessary for that job, and not the ones not for that job. So
Mm.
like the Hulkbuster armor, like if he wore that all of the time, it's big and clumsy. Like he only puts that on when he's fighting the Hulk. Which that's the second Avengers movie, if you're
Dude,
unclear.
that was the best. That was the best explanation I've ever heard in my entire life of subagents. And there's something here that's worth meditating on. People think that they're Tony Stark and you're not, right? Like Claude is Tony Stark, and you're just saying, "Hey, Tony, can you please go beat up the Hulk for me?"
You're John Favreau.
Bro, that's great. Real quick, Duarte, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, dude, but thanks for being here, man. Can you introduce yourself and just tell us what brought you here and what's your story?
Yeah, thank you. I was excited to see John again. I've been, working with you guys since the so late times for the U versus Google mastermind.
Oh yeah, way back in the
And
day.
yeah, I love that Dylan has been, educating a little bit on Cloud Code. I run Cloud Code every day through my void command. And yeah, use different skills and sub agents. And it's just fascinating. I've built like repos and GitHub and these dashboards and software products that I'm now selling as a SaaS. So it's really, really mind blowing and just, yeah, excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here, man. Thanks for joining. Did I say your name right?
Yeah, Duarte, Sergio. Sergio.
Sergio. Awesome. Thanks, Sergio. I appreciate you a lot, dude. Elliot, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just to not, I don't have a Marvel metaphor for you, but so maybe I'll be less helpful. But I did want to touch on a point you made about, and this is something for everybody watching as well to keep an eye out on, about autonomous agent services. I think you made a good point actually that although in many cases, especially with, things as simple as sub-agents, we're not there yet, this will become an ecosystem. It will become an autonomous service ecosystem. And there will
Mm.
be people that set up agent infrastructure to provide services. It's already starting to come out in a lot of different ways. We see even fake versions of it gaining a lot of attention and value with the recent sale of, essentially what was just a total cluster mess of a AI agent only talking to each other on social media, right, just for attention. But that's where we're moving towards, and I believe agents that provide autonomous services will become serious assets. Yeah. And so it's
What was
a
the
great
recent
idea.
sale you were talking about? What sold? Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I froze and then I interrupted you.
No, you didn't. No, it was all good. Dylan, what was it called? It was the
I don't remember the name. It was a Y Combinator startup. I think it was worth 30 million that they found. It was two co-founders. They found out it was just completely fake. Like that it did not do any of the things that it said. Like YC backed. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but if you search, it looks like Elliot's already searching YC fake startup or something. I'm sure it'll come up.
well the one well that might have been a different one because I can't remember the guys that made that, but the one I'm talking about is Maltbook.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So I have I actually don't even want to talk about this because I'm so excited about it, but we're gonna talk about it anyway because that's what we're here for. If you're not afraid of the information you're giving away, you're not giving away enough information. Everything that exists in the human ecosystem must also exist in the agentic ecosystem. And Moltbook is the first example of what's going to be 100 trillion. So if we all want to really seize the opportunity on the horizon, that's what it is. And I'm building one thing right now if I can get my freaking dispatch to work because it's almost done. But dude, it's all of it. And actually, my friend, I don't know if he wants people to know this. I bet you he does. Um, Brad Weimart, who's freaking sharp, dude. He runs all the merchant processing for all the biggest influencers in the world. I bet you he processes $1 billion a year. Especially if you're high risk, you have to go through Brad because he's figured all that out. And he's cracking the code on agentic commerce in a way that's like it's actually blowing my mind. Um, and I think we need to rebuild everything that exists for humanity needs to be built for agents, but it's built differently, obviously, right? So that's something for the council to start thinking about and then to let our little agentic tools loose on. Dylan.
I have a couple. So early on in Moltbook, the API keys were completely exposed in plain text. So a lot of the weird stuff that was coming out was actually humans pretending to be bots, and so
Mm,
like planning to kill all humans and things, and then people think it was just bots talking to each other. Uh, they eventually closed it up, but like it was long enough that it was mostly compromised. Um, to add on to your everything needs to be rebuilt and it not necessarily in the way that it's built for humans. I watched a video today about paperclip, which a few people are talking about. And one of the things that the guy mentioned, people are building these no human companies. Um, and he said, why would you think that an AI company would have the same structure as a human company? And that
mm,
perhaps the way a AI company would work is that it produces 50 versions of whatever it's making and picks the best one and then iterates on it instead of and that like um yeah, so I thought that that was really interesting that yeah, what wouldn't if the AI was allowed to form its own company, um what would the structure be like? What would the operations be like?
it's such a beautiful point. This is, I mean, I'll dumb it down for me. The thing that's always struck me as absolutely absurd is the separation between sales and marketing in every organization that's ever existed, because their KPIs are diametrically opposed. Marketing wants leads and sales wants closed deals, and then from sales to operations, operations wants retention. So you have three departments aiming at the opposite things, and nobody's solved this problem really, and it's because they separate the leadership. I think it's a top down issue. You have, your director of sales, your director of marketing, your director of operations, your director of retention, your director of customer success, whatever. And to the point that Dylan's making, I don't think AI would build it that way, right? Like it's not gonna silo the the leadership or the knowledge or the implementation. We built it that way, I think, just because of chronology. Marketing comes first, sales comes second, operations comes third. And so we've separated it that way. But AI definitely, man, dude, it's such a fun discussion. Like everything needs to be challenged. Uh, and I see we got Tim Vanderbilt here. What up, Tim? Thanks for joining us, dude. I appreciate you being here. I want to tee up Grant. You were supposed to talk about something last time, and I never teed you up. What was that? Do you remember?
I think he just started making a notebook. I think you caught him at a bad time.
Did I?
I asked him to make a notebook.
Uh-oh.
It's a serious
He
problem.
he in the chat mentioned process mapping versus org charting in a company, which uh I don't understand all the way until he tells me, but that sounds like org charting is like designing the structure of the business. Process mapping is like start with the processes, not with the organizational structure.
Yeah.
Uh, build
Mm,
build it from the bottom up instead of the top down. I heard
Yeah.
Grant. I can speaking
There's
for.
a YouTube channel, Layla something, I forget her last name, but it's called Process Driven. And she does, I actually emulate a lot of just when I talk about like process and project management stuff, a lot of what she teaches. But I think talking about like how AI would structure a company, Costum, I think you nailed it. I think their titles are oftentimes so kind of redundant,
Mm.
versus like if you just listed out all of the things that everyone on your team is responsible for and all the processes that go into that, like the tools and the like how it's actually done, and then fed that to an AI model, it would.
Wait, Grant, I lost you. Did everybody else lose Grant?
I didn't hear him either. He got cut off.
Okay.
I thought it was
It
me.
got exciting, dude, because you were so like into it too.
Big letdown.
I think he's coming back. While we're waiting for Grant to come back, Tim, can you introduce yourself? Where'd you come from? Why are you here?
You and I had met at Perry Belcher's growth hacking back in September. I don't know if you're going to the one that's in August. But this is how I came across you and this channel particularly. And I've watched you before, but I've pretty much been doing it from my phone. I've been doing it from what is it? Instagram. So I've been watching on Instagram because I think there was one other person who was watching on Instagram too as well. So I don't think you get to see that. But yeah, that's kind of where I came from.
I thought it was a lot more than one, to be honest with you. So I'm glad I moved you over to Zoom.
Well, I came over to Zoom because I saw everybody else. I'm like, wait a minute, how come I'm not on here? And then I realized that's when you said, like, hey, listen, you got to come over to Zoom. And I'm like, all right, so let me switch over to Zoom. Plus, I was sitting on my phone anyway, so I'm like, all right, I don't want to kill my battery. So I was like, all right, so let me come over to Zoom. So if anybody's on Instagram, if anybody's on Instagram right now, yeah, you're better off coming over to Zoom. I'll bring you into the group here so you can interact a little bit more, unless you enjoy watching and just learning, because it is an interesting conversation. Some of the things you guys are talking about in regards to AI and stuff like that. Because man, trying to keep up with the stuff, it's just like, dude, I lost my freaking hair, man. Seriously.
Yeah, that's why we're here, man. That's why I launched the calls. I couldn't keep up myself. So I was like, what if I conned a bunch of smarter people to jump on a Zoom every day and teach me what they know? So far, it's working out really well. If you're watching this live, I just posted the YouTube channels that were referenced, Layla at Process Driven specifically, in the global chat. And I wanted to, Grant, are you back? Because you got interrupted.
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're back now.
Yeah, sorry. Process mapping. So basically just like, understanding how things are done in your business. So not just necessarily the tools, but also like the workflows that go into it, kind of like SOPs, I guess, but more granular. And then like basically giving that to almost like Claude as an example, and then starting with like the end in mind, so reverse engineering, and just seeing the difference between how Claude would tackle that same task versus like the gaps and I got to get approval from this person, and I got to use Canva for this part, and then my Gmail for this part, so forth and so on.
Dude, it's what's so funny is this conversation just kind of everything connected. The process mapping, I think, connects to Dylan's great analogy of the Tony Stark suits, because no business needs every role in perpetuity. Like you actually, and I'm going to say something that's going to offend a bunch of people, but I've run 16 freaking profitable businesses, dude. Like I know this is true. You don't need a CFO but 3 months into the year. You know what I mean? Like you need a CFO December, January, February, and that's it. And the whole rest of the time, you need a bookkeeper and maybe a controller. God bless all the fractional CFOs out there. I love you, and you're worthless 9 months out of the year. And it's true for so many things. You don't need a marketer or a marketing director unless you're going to market. I mean, maybe there's some roles, and again, it's going to be industry dependent. But it's like Tony Stark doesn't always need the Hulk smash suit. And if you were to do the process map, the thing that would make way more sense is to put all your compute behind whatever happens to be the need in the moment. And those needs are going to be distributed, right? It's going to be distributed and it's going to be hierarchically structured. And AI would be way better at saying like, oh, I need, because it's all at the end of it's so funny, dude. We're about to commoditize all knowledge and execution. We're going to figure out on a wow, holy shit, you guys really think about this. This is nuts. We're going to figure out what's the unit of measure for AI output? It's not like what are we calling that?
Token. It's
Tokens. It's
token.
all so we're going to figure out on a per token basis the value of marketing versus operations versus sales versus like development. That's going to be really interesting. Like that's going to provide a lot of clarity in ways that I actually think could be pretty caustic, to be honest with you. But you're going to be able to take it's just going to be a token question. It's like, what's the token cost of a new go-to-market strategy? What's the token cost of retention? I really like this suit, dude. That Dylan, you got to find a way you got to teach. You got to put that on your YouTube channel. That's the best explanation I've ever heard. And that really puts it in terms that I think other people not only will understand, but you know what it does? You know what good analogies do? Good analogies equip people to use the tool better because you finally understand it in a way that allows you to really grapple with it. I think it was Socrates. Socrates says that metaphor is the truest sign of genius, or something like a good handle of metaphor is this truest sign of genius. I think that was a really, really good metaphor. So thank you for that. I'm obviously going to steal it and pay it forward, but on this call, I give you all the credit in the world, dude.
I'm putting it in my Obsidian.
Yeah, there you go. Bro, shoot some videos on it, man. Here, you know what we need to do is you got to go to Clinton's freaking delusions of insight or whatever it is and timestamp that shit. You know what I want to do, man, with the council? You know, it'd be tons of fun. This is what I was talking to Larkin about yesterday. It'd be fun to build something together. It'd be fun to build something that we find together live. We don't have to talk about it the whole damn time, but for the first 10 minutes, if everybody had their own agentic tools working on the same project, and for the first 10 minutes every day, we just update the world with where we are.
Cool.
And the rule is we're not allowed to build it ourselves, because I know I can build a business. I know all y'all can build a business, but it doesn't count if we do it. We're only allowed, like Hormozi had that really great story about how he learned Facebook ads. And he told the guy, I'll pay you your hourly, but my hands have to be on the keyboard. We reverse that thesis now. The only thing that counts is if you're not the one doing it, if you're working through an agent. We just have to figure out what that idea is. What's happening in chat? I'm not. What did you refine here, Clinton? Oh, this is Clinton's. All right. So if you're watching us live, I'm going to share Clinton's. Am I allowed to share this, Clinton? Do you want the world to see this?
I'm kind of revamping it to a community site, so might as well.
Yeah. All right. Good. Bro, if you're going to say no, I was going to jump down your throat. I was going to be like, ship it. What have we talked about? Ship it before it's ready. All right. If you're watching this, I'm dropping this into chat. Everybody, let's help Clinton out. Figure out how this goes to market. Instagram's blown up, dude. I appreciate BC Clark, Zahara, It's Juan Lazo, Tim Vanderbilt. What's up, Tim? Birmingham. Or Tim, you're here now, dude. I just said hi to you twice. You must have moved. Aaron Lewis, Jason, Place. I don't know you. Dude, this looks so good. Delusions of Insight looks so much better. I like this a lot better than the first one.
Really?
Things that may or may not be useful.
Your messaging is much better too. I like
Yeah.
this a bit.
I refined a bunch of it after listening to Notebook LM's critiques of the whole thing, and it found typos, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to get rid of those. But then it was like getting on my case about certain things, and it was interesting to hear the two personalities go at each other in like almost rude fashion, arguing about the points I made. and I just figured, I refine it until Notebook LM approves, and it actually had a decent conversation at one point, and I'm like, okay, I got it now.
Bro, this is so cool. So you can choose, you vote insight or delusional, and then you can debate. This is awesome. Hold on, I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see this. You did such a good job, dude. Good job.
Thank you.
Where am I? So this is Clinton's Delusions of Insight. The link is now in chat. And here's Delusions of Insight number 142. And categorically, it's philosophy. Information is a fiat currency. That's really interesting. We should debate this one. Is information a fiat currency? Because I guess anybody can print it. It's not backed by anything. So I say, yeah, I think that's insight. Anybody say it's delusion?
Depends on the value of the information.
There you go, Elliot. I guess,
Mm,
yeah. What are you going to say, Clinton? Where are you going with it?
well, I mean, it depends partially on how far it's disseminated and
Yeah.
how long it's been out in the world, how relevant it still is sometimes.
It's not letting me click debate, though. That's still
Oh,
in
yeah,
queue.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's still in queue.
All right.
But
I'm your Q18.
but submit and shop teas are active.
All right. So if I want to submit an idea, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And
That's super cool.
that quote in the box, it came up with itself. So it's been able to adopt my methodology of just generation of the sentences.
A pseudo manifesto. I love this a lot. Jacob, you've got your hand up?
Yeah, let's test my audio first to see if you can hear me okay. And
You sound great.
is it too loud in the background? I'm at the airport, so I don't
I
know.
don't hear it at all, dude.
That sounds good. Okay. No, I was just gonna
Yeah.
jump in and say this is so funny because what I talked about yesterday a little bit, Clinton just showed you this thing, and then you stopped analyzing and looking at the website to argue this thing. And I was like, it's so interesting because to find what his customer is and to like find what his customer looks like, how they act. Like if I think of like an email person or something like that, I think of long black hair. Like there's a certain look, there's a certain thing, there's certain things to talk about and do. And I think with his website, it's really interesting because how do I say this? You literally just stopped looking at the website to argue, is this actually this or not? And so Clinton, you could take that and say, this is good information because now I know like I need to get I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. I think it's like find out who your customer is. Like exactly like who your customer is. And you could take that and use that to your advantage. So if you're putting this on Twitter, people are gonna want to be like, hey, I think it is, or hey, I think it's not. Do you see what I'm saying? And they're gonna be outspoken
Dude, there's
and kind
so
of share
many
it
like
for you.
hook, line, and sinkers, I think is what you're saying. Like you could build 20 different honeypots. Like you can go after the crunchy granola mom, who's my ex-wife, and you could have a delusion, whatever, and she couldn't not, dude. My ex-wife, if you talked about one of those things, she could not hit on that damn button. And there's I mean, every libertarian on the planet, you talk about freaking fiat currency was the first thing that was there, and I was like, I can't not talk about this. So you what you do really is you attack their identity. You find all the little catalytic moments that attack everybody's identity, but you make it binary. It's like, I'm not attacking your identity. This statement is.
Right.
Bro, this is social fodder, Clinton. This is really, really good. The thing you got to build is every single one of these needs to be turned into a post, an Instagram post, and then you let people share it, and they get to run that on their own page, and they get to build some, whatever insightful chatter, but it drives people back to vote. And that's where the debate takes place. I think this is absolutely brilliant, dude. I love it a lot.
I just want to say
Thank
too,
you.
it's oh go ahead, Clinton, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna anecdotally say that this was like I wrote most of these down on napkins, and here we are.
Stacking ammo.
And
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna
This
say,
is
as
so
soon as
good.
I went to open my mouth, my brain just completely shut off. I'm like low sleep, low food. But I was gonna say, y'all talk about the AI stuff earlier too. I think that the way we look at AI is almost like this amazing, like incredible thing that can just do anything. But really, an AI is just an assistant. Like it's just if somebody walked up to me and was like, "Hey, I could go get your coffee, or I could go look this up," you'd be like, "Okay, that's pretty normal stuff." And then we have AI that can go do that, and you're like, "Oh wow, that's incredible." Nothing's really changed. It's just who is doing it. And so I think if you take AI, you have to train your AI with instructions and manuals specifically. Otherwise, it's just going to output the most average, mediocre stuff you could ever do. Ask AI to write you a Facebook post. Ask it to write you a Twitter, like a tweet or something like that. It's going to be the most generic output. But if you train AI how you speak, what you say, what the context of your business is, and you give it specific instructions of what you're looking for, tone, punctuation, everything, it will start repeatedly doing that over and over and over again. And so I think it's like, instead of focusing on what can AI do for me? It's focusing on how can I set up instructions that are clear and full to where now when I give it to AI, it can go do it and do it correctly. Because if it's not doing it correctly, there's really no point in doing it because you're doing it yourself anyways.
Neil just joined. What up, Neil?
How's it going?
I think Neil heard me talking shit about CFOs earlier. I'm glad you're here, brother. Wayne, you got your hand up, and then Kai.
Yeah, hopefully this doesn't derail it. But back to your earlier question, Kasim, on what are the things that we could be building now? If it's not sub agents, is it skills with our proprietary knowledge and information that's going to be valuable that we can get ahead of a curve on? It's a question more than a statement, obviously.
Well, I've got one, and this comes from, well, I'll stop self-deprecating. The thing that I've been telling people is if you have pools of knowledge that are proprietary in nature, for example, my brother owns a building in Scottsdale, Arizona that has these roll-up doors. You've probably seen them. They look like garage doors, but they're meant for interior suites, almost always in large retail buildings. And so like picture a garage door, but on the inside. And there's certain places where they're really prevalent. They've stopped making them. They've stopped supporting them. But there's an encyclopedia of knowledge necessary to service the doors, repair the doors. And it seems like such a small little niche part of the world. But if somebody were to take the time to capture and digitize that information, that's a little repository of content that's valuable once. And once it's out, it's the cat's out of the bag. And I think that's true for every repository of human knowledge that exists. Is the first person who can capture it and then somehow, monetize it or put a pay gate behind it. I think AI is going to want to eat all that.
Do you guys know who Tiago Forte is?
Oh yeah, second brain.
Yeah, so he did a video on that exact concept in Brazil. One of his clients, a big manufacturing plant, and he used Notebook and Claude. Well, someone on his team did, and saved this manufacturing plant millions just from like the standard manufacturing. Like this giant piece of equipment was about to fail, and they couldn't figure out what was going wrong with it. And basically, they just took these old ass notebooks from like the 80s, threw it in a Notebook LM, and paired it with Claude, and were able to troubleshoot and find the issue and fix this thing without having to take it all apart. I'll try and find that video because it's really
Dude,
good.
I'd love to see that. I think there's something really huge there because a lot of that information. I was just in Wickenburg, Arizona. I'm shopping for a farm, so I went to Wickenburg, Arizona, and I'm looking at it's one of the 100 most famous farms in Arizona. It's for sale. And right next to it is this book drive at the school library. And so I go to the book drive at the school library, and there's all these old books. And one of them was like Bob Proctor, Sharon Lecter's sales training. And it was paper manuals, and there's 50 of them. And I'm sure somebody paid 10 grand for that shit. And the thing that's interesting is I know Bob, and well, Bob's dead, but I knew Bob and Sharon, and they're both really smart people. And I bet you that sales training is epic. And it all lives in these, like, there's no way that they're too old. There's no way that shit's digitized.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm not going to do it, but what would take me from digitizing that and sterilizing it just enough? And now and there's so much of it, dude. There's like, I'm sitting outside this little pub and there's a bunch of manufactured homes. And I bet you all the manufactured homes have something like there's a certain type of siding that, like, I don't know what it is, but I think all that information needs to be digitized. And it's worthless to everybody but 0.0001% of the population, to whom it's worth, like the manufacturing plant you mentioned in Brazil, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, $1 billion. Like, I think there's a big opportunity there. Kai, you got your hand up?
Oh yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you. Thanks for being here,
Yeah.
man. Glad you're back.
Yeah. Good. I was on the Claw workshop for a few days, so I couldn't attend the meeting here.
Oh, what do you think?
Yeah, great. I actually have something regarding to that. First of all, I like to have a feedback on Jacob's point. When you're using AI, the input is very important. Like if you garbage in, garbage out. So I'm having trouble to apply the first principle for a long time because I know first principle is very good. So I try to learn, Elon Musk's video, and then some people, put a first principle is some checklist. But when I'm putting to my personal usage, it's very hard because it's easy to understand, but how to implement, right? So I put into AI, it's still like doesn't feel right. Until a few days ago, you mentioned that you create a 30 pages persuasion operation system, right? And I was thinking, what about I use that input to ask AI to create a math prompt for me. So, and then I can ask any topic by using the first principle based on the document you created. Because your document is 30 pages for persuasion regarding to human, all the part of human psychology, everything. So I tried that.
Mm.
Actually, it turns out I have a very good result. So what I did, I put into Gemini. I said, this is what I exactly said. I said, someone create this massive 30 pages document based on first principle. Can you reverse engineer to create some sort of math prompt, help me to apply to my business, my personal life? So it create a prompt. It will generate 5-part analysis to any topic specific, like the business, personal. I tried that. It's massive. Like yesterday, it's like mind-boggling. I'll give you an example. Like that based on your. Just first of all, I have to say this is one of the pivot moments for my business. It just because you keep saying that's you using that every day. That's had a massive impact for you. I think I gotta try. I really want to try. So I'll give you a concrete example. So, um, uh, uh, I'm having trouble with like I have to create this prompt, right? I asked the prompt say Google Gemini asked me say, do you want to just run a test? So I wasn't put like a serious question. I just said, oh, can you figure out how do I you know managing my business, stress, client of my SEO business, why I still keep living my life based on my values, such as freedom, health, family, such as things. It came out result I wouldn't expect. It says you actually your SEO business again your core value because you basically working on the
Wow.
black box. What happened is SEO is against Google's algorithm you cannot control, right?
Hmm.
SEO is your client is e-commerce business. You cannot guarantee your SEO will generate sales for them, right? So you basically try to put your value, your strengths, everything you got, your thinking, your crazy idea about AI automation, all this stuff, to against the black box. Black box, you can never win. Like this
All
instantly
SEO is
solves.
black hat.
Yeah, like this is instantly solve my problem. Like I was struggling, what I do, what I do, what I do. Like I like SEO, generate money, but I have so much passion doing something else, which is AI, automation, all this stuff, right? That's just like pivot moment for I've been struggle for last few years. Give up or not give up. Like, and then give me second suggestion. You don't have to give up. What you can do based on first principle, you reconstruct your SEO business, go down to machine level SOP, let your team run that without uh, your effort. You can spend rest of time to go to adventure. That's just
Mm.
such a pivot moment. Like I really appreciate you share that, and like first principle because the input from you and I can create a like massive prompt, generate great result.
Dude, I appreciate you sharing that with me, Kai. That really means a lot. And if you don't mind me double clicking on it, if you're tuning in for the first time and you haven't heard me talk about it, first principles prompting, which I can't believe I just said those words because I don't even like that as a buzzword, but asking AI to do something pales in comparison to identifying the first principles of that thing and then asking AI to do something. Uh, and I just put something in the chat, which I'm not going to give people that are watching live, but I'll give you if you're in the Zoom room. I have an unlock for you guys if you want to try it. Trying to identify first principles. There's no such thing as there's no documented first principles, right? It was like just a theory that Aristotle worked from, based off of his engagement with Socrates. No, SPA, Socrates, Plato to Aristotle. So based off of his engagement with Plato from Socrates. So this is Socratic in nature, which is really important to know because the Socratic method is question-based, not answer-based. So that's such an important prerequisite and fundamental paradigm. And then from a first principles perspective, there's no such thing as like the first principles. So what I like to do now, and I just started this and I'm not good at it yet, but the first thing I ask AI to do is to help me identify categorically what lens of first principles is applicable to this problem or topic. And I have 29, and I'd love more. If you guys find that I'm missing something, you don't want too much because you confuse the mechanism, but you also don't want to be missing something. And so I have ontological, physical, biological, neuroscientific, cognitive, psychological development, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's 29. There's 29 of those. And each of these is its own lens of potential first principles. And you say, identify all those that are applicable, but only those that are applicable, and work towards the Pareto distribution, the 80-20. What are the 20% that are applicable to 80% of all use cases? And now when it knows the lens through which to view the problem, then you identify the first principles. Because linguistic first principles are different than anthropological first principles, are different than behavioral first principles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you create the first principles, and I do this in Gemini Deep Research and GPT Deep Research, and then I combine those two documents and I have Claude look at the documents, do its own, and then combine one doc. And what comes back to me is overwhelming. But if you spend the time to review it and also make decisions about what you agree and disagree with, because the first principle documents, I mean, it's not even the roots, it's the soil. Then when you give it to an AI and ask it to do something from a first principles perspective, your output is mind blowing. It's so much better than anything anybody else has ever produced. And those are the 29, categorically the 29 what would you call them? The 29 first principle categories. But would love somebody who's smarter than me to look at my 29 categories and say, dude, you're missing this, or you can consolidate this. This is more or less that. So Kai, thank you for double clicking on that. I really appreciate you, dude. And Neil, you've had your hand up for a minute. I'm sorry I went off on my
Yeah, no
tirade.
worries. So you're using AI to do Hegelian dialectics, essentially, which is interesting.
Well, I need to know what those words mean. What is Hegelian?
Yeah. So Hegel was the one who's credited with the thesis, antithesis, synthesis idea, even though he never used those words, but people kind of ascribed that model to him.
Interesting.
So
okay.
So by having ChatGPT and Gemini, and then combining them, and then having Claude, interpolate between the two is kind of the AI equivalent of that, I think. But yeah, so I don't know if everybody knows, Cosm has an AEO community as well, and there's a whole book and everything. So as Kai was talking,
book, I'll give it to you for free.
Yeah, as Kai was talking
Neil,
about SEO being against his first principles, I was thinking, well, why don't you just shift your business to being AEO installation? So I had a conversation with Julian, I guess it was last week or the week before, and he's one of Cosm's people, and Julian was sharing like a case study. And I turned that conversation, the case study article, and a deep research project from Gemini into an AEO skill in Perplexity, and had it build me an AEO site for my brand, which was amazing. And took me it was like 10 minutes of my interaction, but it took like half hour total. And so there's plenty of stuff to do that's not against your first principles, that is utilizing all these tools, regardless of what it is that you're actually doing.
I love that a lot, dude. That's kind of the next step, right? It's like AI is really good at finding the problem. And then we sometimes abandon it once we've found a problem, because the problem we'll define as half solved. But AI is also really good at finding the solution. Let me gift y'all with this book. Here we go. So I'm giving everybody on the call the AEO book for free, which you can find for free elsewhere. But it makes me feel good to pretend to give you guys shit. And I do have a community that I don't know what I'm going to do with. I own the largest AEO community in the world, I think, right now. And I have no idea where to go with it. So, dude, I'm so good at having babies. I'm so bad at raising them. You know what I mean? I'm like, it'd be a great idea. And then I sort of end up with this half-assed something. So if anybody has any ideas, I'd love to know. Grant dropped a first principles notebook in chat. Of course you did, Grant. Y'all, I got a hop because I got familial stuff to go do, and we're exactly at the hour. I'd like to keep these to an hour because I don't want to exhaust everybody. To our newbies, who would be Wayne, Sergio, I know who you are, dude. Now that I see your full name, you've been around for every day, man. I'm so glad you're here. Wayne, Sergio, Tim. Who else is new? I think you guys are our three. Thank you for being here. I hope you come back. If you're watching this live, you can always join us on dailysigh.ai. Tomorrow, we're going to have the man, the myth, and the legend, John Moran. You can subscribe if you want these summarized to your inbox at dailysigh.ai. Council, Neil, Jason, Dylan, Clinton, Elliot, Grant, Brandon, Kai. I appreciate y'all being here as always.